everybody, welcome to InPsightRadio. I'm Danielle Egnew, your host, and you are literally right now a fly on the wall to everywhere. And I am coming to you from inside a pickup truck. So if you're hearing a bunch of road noise and a bunch of jiggly around stuff, that is awesome. And I am actually at the northernmost tip of Lake Michigan right now. I am driving around with my family in this incredible opportunity to see this lake. And I wish you could see what I'm seeing. What I'm looking at is really incredible. And literally, I mean, the water is blue, like crystal blue, like it looks like, you know, you're going to Tahiti, crystal blue color. It's really amazing. So I just want to tell everybody, if I sound a little chill today, if I sound a little bit like I'm kicking back, that's why. And oh, look at that lake. That's amazing. For any of you listening who have never been to a place like the Great Lakes, it's a trip because you can't see the other side. I mean, and there's all of these waves that are crashing, and it's really amazing. And one of the things that I am loving about this trip is not only is this a huge family trip for my wife and her family, they've been coming here for years and years, and we've got our daughter, and we put our dogs at the border, and I'm worried that they're going to be, you know, emotionally scarred, but hopefully they won't be. And one of the most incredible things that I had the opportunity to do was literally take the studio on the road. And I wanted to capture some podcasts up here because what I'm having the opportunity to do is to survey some energies that are really amazing. And, you know, one of the things I wanted to talk about today was water energy. Now, for those of us who have been down to the coasts numerous times, I don't want to say I was raised on the coast. I wasn't. I was raised in Montana. Yet, when I've spent time on the coasts, I've spent time down at the Pacific Ocean. And that water energy at the Pacific Ocean literally encompasses the entire planet of Earth. I mean, you've got energy coming out of that ocean that you can feel everything on the earth. It's amazing. Now, this lake, I went into the lake not too long ago, and the lake doesn't feel like all life on the earth plus the planets. It doesn't feel like that. Yet what it does feel like is it feels ancient. I mean, it literally feels like ancient earth because these glaciers dropped these massive Great Lakes up here, and Lake Michigan is 1,300 and some odd feet deep. I mean, it's a big old lake. It's huge. It's got its own tides. It's got waves like the ocean. I'm looking at it right now as we drive by, and you cannot even see the other side. Like I said, it is blue, it's gorgeous, and I feel like I'm looking out over the Pacific. That's how flippin' big this lake is. It's insane. And we're in the Upper Peninsula. They call them Yoopers up here. We're driving around to go to the Crystal Lake area, which is where my family has been going for a long time, my wife's family. So water energy, what's the deal with water energy, and why does it store the way that it stores? I mean, why? I'll tell you why. Because water literally has a memory, right? And we know that because of all of the incredible research that especially Japanese scientists have done in this area. Yet water has a tremendous memory. And when you're dealing with the ocean, you're dealing with the comets, you're dealing with the stars, you're dealing with the soup of life that was dropped onto our planet billions of years ago. And that water has a memory of all of that genetic material that's been dropped down there for the entire time that it's been dropped down there. I mean, it's kind of a big deal. So when you go to a place like Michigan, it's ancient and it's old, but it's a different kind of old. And it's interesting because the water spirits, and there are water devas, there are water spirits, the water spirits that we feel, especially in the ocean, those spirits also walk with other parts of the universe. And when I'm in the water at the beach, I love getting in there because I can feel absolutely everything. It's not just me and the waves, it's me and the waves and the stars and absolutely every single thing that you possibly could feel in the universe, plus all the sea life, okay, and the sharks and the kelp and the microbes and all the human sewage and everything else that we like to put in the ocean. But when you get into the water at Lake Michigan, what it feels like, first and foremost, is earth. It is earth energy, and it is ancient earth energy rather than universal energy, which, of course, again, is what you pick out of the ocean. Yet that feeling of stepping into all that earth energy puts you in a totally different place. It's really great. Oh, so here we are. We're literally on a spot of road. I am looking right into Lake Michigan, and the earth energy that comes out of this lake is phenomenal. And interestingly enough, too, there is a masculine energy to this lake. Not to say it's a man or it's a male, yet it's a very masculine energy, although it's almost androgynous because it reminds me of the ocean. Yet when I stood in it, it did not have that same Mother Ocean feeling. And the Mother Ocean feeling, I mean, that Mother Ocean is literally the heartbeat of the world. It's the heartbeat of the earth. Yet this thing, you guys, I wish you could see this. It looks like I'm looking at a beach in Cabo. If you've never been, now the water's a lot colder, okay? I did get in the water, and the water's a little chilly here. However, it's no more chilly than, it's not as cold as trying to go swimming in Seattle in the Sound. That's more cold, I'll just tell you. Yet this masculine energy that I'm encountering up here is beautiful. And it's not to say the lake's a male, yet the earth portion, it's almost like a balancing aspect, because if you think about the Mother Earth energy, then you have this massive giant chunk of water on top of it that has a balancing aspect, androgynous to masculine feel. So one of the things that happened when I got in to good old Lake Michigan was that flippin' lake remembered me. I was in that lake when I was 2 years old, in Chicago. My parents lived in Chicago. And so I crawl into this lake, and I'm excited, and I'm driving my wife nuts because I'm like, I want to get out, I want to pull over, I want to see something. And my wife is a Scot, and she's like, we're going to get to our destination on time, and it's going to be good. And she actually finally pulled over because I kept having a cow. Yet I got out, and I got my toes in the sand, and all I want is a margarita. And as we crest over this massive hill, the vista that I'm looking at right now, if somebody didn't tell me that I was inland, if someone did not tell me that I was in Michigan, I would honestly think right now that I was on the coast. I would think that I was down at Cabo. This is amazing. It's gorgeous up here. So, and there's big waves that are splashing again. I mean, it's just, I can't even. And I'm glad you're here with me for this, because the energy of water is here to heal us, gang. And so many of us are getting into the shower. We're hurrying. We're going day to day. We're getting in and out of places. And we're not actually immersing ourselves in water like we should be. Because when we immerse ourselves into water, it helps us with the electromagnetic grounding in our bodies. And what's fascinating here is I look at all this water, and I'm talking to you, and all I want to do is take you in the water with me. I mean, it's literally probably 30 feet away. We've got waves crashing. We've got these white beaches that look white underwater. They're brown sand. And the water keeps saying to me, hey, let me help you balance your system. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you live right now in real time as we are passing sand dunes on the Upper Peninsula of Lake Michigan is to share with you that the energy of water is here to help us heal. And sometimes those healing energies bring masculine energies, sometimes they bring feminine energies, yet they are here to help us heal. And when we don't choose to heal, and when we don't choose to immerse ourselves in that water, and we just go day to day and we're doing our thing with our showers, we are not allowing ourselves to ground out through that electromagnetic balancing mechanism called water. And yeah, okay, look, you can take a shower, it'll get the dirt off of you, okay? You can stand there and let all the water trickle off of you, and that's fine too. And it's not to say that that's not going to have some healing effect, because obviously you get in the shower, you're tense, you get out of the shower, you feel better. Yet, one of the things that I can tell you unequivocally here is that immersion in water is huge for the healing of the body. And even the colors of water, obviously water reflects. And the reason our oceans are blue is because, and Lake Michigan, as I look out over it with the white caps coming in, and the multicolors, the dark blue outside in the very deep parts of the lake, this sort of a teal. Remember that teal on Camaros? Okay, Camaro teal. I'm seeing that out in the shallows. There are these white, almost like white sandy beach strip places out there underneath the water that make this really light green. I mean, even the colors that we experience around water are here to help us heal. I mean, this is just amazing. So the gift of water on our planet, we're a water planet, people, and our bodies on a good hydrated day are around 70% water. So we are meant to have that water balancing in our bodies. And we don't drink enough of it. We don't get into it. We don't submerge ourselves into it. I mean, we just don't. We don't. So one of the beautiful gifts that this lake is, it's literally talking to me right now. And this lake is just saying, you know, I'm here for you guys. I'm here to help you. And you know, you see people swimming on the outside of it, or there's major shipping channels or whatever. Yet we forget that water is, I would say, even more important to human grounding and human healing. Water is, than even the earth. And we all know, you know, I talk about earthing on this podcast all the time. And I talk about how important it is when we're earthing to have the soles of the feet on the earth. It literally is the third pin. It's our grounding pin. The bottoms of our feet, gang, are grounding pins. And if we do not, or we are not able to completely submerge the body in water, maybe we have a physical difficulty and we can't climb in and out of the tub. I mean, that's a thing for some people. You know, whatever that is, it's important that we note that we have got to figure out a way if we can just at least submerge our feet, because our feet, again, are the grounding pin. It's the third prong on your lamp cord, okay? That little prong on the bottom that grounds everything out so you don't blow a circuit with the AC and DC currents. Our feet are the grounding pin. And so if we can at least get our feet in the water, that right there, that's a huge, big deal. And I mean, even little lakes, you know, I'm not much of a lake person. This is what's funny. Here I'm freaking out about Lake Michigan, but Lake Michigan is acting a lot more like an ocean, and I'm an ocean person. And I was talking to my wife, and neither she and I are lake people per se. I mean, I like a lake, right? I'll go out and tube on it, or maybe I won't get in it. Okay, that's a lie. I might get in a boat on the lake because it's mucky and it's gross. And, you know, it's seaweedy and it's dirty and whatever. I might fish in the lake. If I have enough beer, I might get in the lake. I don't know. However, this doesn't look like a lake. It's so big. It has a tide. You know, it has waves. Apparently it has an undertow, this great lake of Lake Michigan, that it is interacting with the ground around it like an ocean. So if all you have is a good old lake around you, and that's what you can get into, and it's not going to give you a swimmer's itch or freak you out, you know, get in the lake, submerge the body, because that's exactly what this lesson, this object lesson of this massive lake is submerge the body. And even what I think is interesting, because we're on this beautiful road, and again, the road is on the coast and going right along the coastline of the upper part of Lake Michigan. And this lake is telling stories to me right now, right this second, of what was here, the Native American quest, the off-worlders. Apparently there's a crap ton of off-worlders that come and go from the middle of Lake Michigan. And I was asking the lake why. I'm like, well, why you? And the lake was telling me, actually, all of the major lakes in the North American continent, all the way up into Canada. And it kind of inspired me earlier to look up on a map to see all of the lakes up in northern Canada. There are a ton of lakes up there, and they all look like the Great Lakes. They're big. And I thought to myself, oh my God, this is a UFO network, hotspot, whatever. These lakes are so deep that the off-world craft can utilize the water to trigger the space full-time mechanisms that they use on their craft, because obviously water is a massive semiconductor, and salt water is better than even fresh water in terms of conducting electromagnetic energy, right? Yet this lake is telling me stories of how these craft come and go all the time. And it's somewhat of a London Heathrow airport in the middle of the country. And it's interesting because if you go down, you're going through Illinois and you go over a little bit and there's Iowa and there's Missouri, and you go all the way down and you move over to the west and you've got Kansas and Nebraska. That area of the country, gang, there are rivers that go through there, but there is a lack of large water sources in that lower area. And the only way through Kansas, Nebraska that I felt when I was moving through there that the water contributes to the movement of energy is way up north in the Great Lakes and affecting weather patterns, and way down south in the Gulf affecting weather patterns. And the air moves the energy through the Great Plains. The air does. That's why we have such violent tornadoes and whatnot. But otherwise, it is just unbelievably still out there. So the object lesson of water today, here it is, this massive lake, is that we do not interact with water nearly enough as human beings. We just don't. And then we're tired and we stay in our house. We don't even get into a bathtub half the time. A lot of times, modern residences now, I was just reading this the other day, freaked me the hell right out. They are building apartments now because in major cities, a lot of people can't afford the freaking housing. It's too much money, right? So in these major cities, what's going on is that we have this opportunity to see these buildups that are happening. And the buildups are little cubbies, like a bunk bed, and that's what people are renting. Okay, I have to tell you, are we coming up to it right now? Is this it? I think this might be it. We're coming up to a space here. There's a big bridge. Yep, I knew it. I felt two water sources intersecting one another that are humongous. And I just asked my wife, are we coming up to it? She's like, I don't know. I don't know where we're at. She'd look at the map. I want to tell you this. This is great. I want to tell you how it feels when I go across the bridge. We are coming up to a space. We are going to cross a bridge. And on the right-hand side of me is going to be Lake Michigan. And on the left-hand side of me is going to be Lake Huron. So we're going to have nothing but water energy just pumping itself up from that particular place. And when I get over on that bridge, I'm going to deliver you a channeled message that's live, that's coming up through those lakes and through that water for humanity. Because one of the things, again, massive object lesson to my right here, one of the things I'm being told here is that this water is here to teach us, and it's here to help heal us, which is absolutely phenomenal. And what I love about that is that, again, water has a memory. Lake Michigan remembered me when I was 2 years old and I got into it down in Chicago. It remembered me as an adult because it remembers vibration. So think about everything that our oceans remember. The wars, the peace, the destruction of the planets, the stardust that actually makes us into what we are. The water remembers it all. So when we take the grounding pin of our feet, even our feet, gang, even if you just wade, okay, and you go in there and you wade, even the grounding pin of the feet will tell and share the entire creation story. And it allows us to ground out also because we human beings have a horrible tendency to believe that we're the biggest thing on the food chain, right? We are obsessed with the fact that surely we've got to be the top of the food chain. And we just aren't. Oh my God. Don't even get me started on these off-worlders that come and go from the middle of these great big lakes, using them as these big electromagnetic vortex points and jump points. And they can fold space under the water in an easier way than they can fold space in the atmosphere. Plus, their craft are naturally buoyant in the water, so they're not having to actually turn on and use as much energy, although they have a different energetic extraction mechanism than we do here on Earth. However, they don't have to use as much energy to fold space under the water either, because the water actually holds electromagnetic semiconduction in a much more effective way. So, wow. Gang, this is radio, so I can't show you what I'm seeing. However, It looks like 2 million diamonds dancing off of the surface of this deep azure blue, beautiful surface. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. And there's lighthouses everywhere. I mean, you got to remember, gang, I'm a Montanan that lived on the West Coast. So I've never really seen a lake that needs a lighthouse. That to me is a mind-boggling idea. Hey, come see my lake. But look out for the lighthouse, because you don't want to be like the Edmund Fitzgerald. That could get bad. So if you have a space in your home that you can actually get into a bathtub and you physically can do it, do your best to do that. And, it really doesn't kill us to sit in a bath I would do it every night if I'd remember. I don't always remember. It doesn't kill us if we go over and at least a couple of times a week sit in that water. And also, me, I'm big on the Epsom salts. I'm big on salts in water because it helps our bodies purge. Yet, if we consider a few things, if we consider that a lot of affordable inner city housing now are just bunk beds that share a shower bathroom area, if you consider that we don't have that opportunity that we once used to actually submerge the body in water, then what you've got is we are a half-balanced electromagnetic organism. And a half-balanced electromagnetic organism is not going to do very well, because the whole point is to get us to be able to relieve ourselves of extra energies, especially that we pick up with our EMF devices. I mean, I'm super blessed. A lot of you write to me and tell me that you listen to these podcasts, whether you're pulling them here off of Patreon or you're pulling them off of the Podbean site in archives or whatever. I am told that many of you guys listen to me on the road. So that's awesome. Yet all of that EMF that's coming off of your devices that you're listening to me on, you want to make sure that you can dump that someplace. And that's what water is telling us. Water is saying, listen, I have the memory of what life was like before all of this got. Okay, so here's something really interesting. I just did about 25 minutes of recording that showed up that it was recording on the software. And it was while we were going over Lake Michigan and Lake Huron. And there were all these messages coming up through the water. It was showing that it was recording. And I got done and I turned around and the recording is stopped exactly as we were getting onto the bridge. That's where the recording stopped. That's disappointing. Well, I can give you a quick recap. Basically, the water was telling us that there's a ton of healing in it. And the water itself was amazing. And I am so bummed out right now that we are missing just 20 minutes of this broadcast because it was showing it was recorded and it's absolutely not recorded. It is a Mercury retrograde time zone right now and time frame, yet it was stunning. It took about, I would say, 6 or 7 minutes to get across that suspension bridge, and to the right of me was Lake Michigan, to the left of me was Lake Huron. And it was nothing but this deep, beautiful azure blue water with these huge white caps on either side. And you could see the tidal rips coming up underneath of the suspension bridge. And it was really, really incredible. And it was breathtaking. And the messages coming out of that were that we could come into water and it will teach us at any time how to heal. And it was like laughing at us. The water was laughing, not like, ha ha, you guys suck. But the water was laughing in this very lighthearted way about all of the memories that it has and all of the healing capacity that it has and the levity that it has to deliver us, and how it can teach us that these things that we labor over and knock ourselves out over really mean nothing. They mean nothing in the grand scope of things, because what we're here to do is to purge and to learn. And so if you can submerge yourself in water in some point, and again, I'm so devastated because that was the most amazing experience and it's just gone. So I guess maybe everybody wasn't supposed to hear that. I don't really know why, but okay, whatever. However, I will tell you that what I had the opportunity to learn from all of that and to see that massive expanse of water is that the water, it's remembering everything. It remembers how our bodies heal independently. And when we aren't drinking water, when we're not interacting with water, when we're not putting our feet or our hands or our bodies in it, we get more and more sick. The sicker we get addicted to our pharmaceuticals, and somebody's making money off of that illness, of course, which is no fun. And instead, this water is talking. Literally, when we went over this massive bridge, the water was just saying to me that it was so happy to see all of us, and it remembers all of us. And the resonation of the water in my body is what Lake Michigan remembered. It's what it remembered of me. It remembered it. And so that water remembers the world before it was industrialized. It remembers, and obviously, gang, water is renewing itself. It's not just sitting there being old, yet water molecules communicate with one another like crazy. And the message that this water had for humanity was that it is here for us. The water is our family. The water's our friend. The water's our family. And one of the reasons that the earth is experiencing so many climate horrible hiccups right now, besides the fact that we've really kicked up a natural evolutionary process by thousands of years and thousands of heat index points by saturating our ethers with greenhouse gases, our weather is dumping water on us like crazy right now. We have so much rain coming from everywhere, and the Midwest is flooding. And even right now, my wife's family was told that even the Great Lakes are so much higher because of everything from just water level rises, ocean level rises. I'm sure tributaries that are flooding more water into the lakes themselves, that a lot of the sandy beaches that people here have gotten used to have been eroded away because our planet is changing and our water levels are rising. And it's interesting because water remembers everything, and it's our massive healer. So our planet is being saturated with water as we speak. I mean, the whole thing is just being doused with water. And what I think is fascinating about that is water is our healer, and water remembers everything. So how can water remember everything? How can it remember everything? If water is renewed, how does it remember everything? Well, you have to remember that water molecules speak to one another. And this is why we can take perfectly healthy water and can it up in an old mason jar and throw it in a dirty river, and the perfectly healthy water inside in groupings will teach the dirty water how to clean itself. And so, this says a lot. This is why we're going to take this to human beings a minute. If you ever had that friend who is like a crazed health nut, and you get around your friend, and after you work through your own sideways little slightly jealous feelings of the fact that they maybe have lost that extra 20 pounds and really do have themselves in the space that perhaps you've always wanted to get yourself into but really never did, after we work through our human feelings, we're around our friend, and pretty soon we're just feeling good. We don't know why. Our friend's happy and they're eating organic food and they're in a good space, and pretty soon we're feeling really good. And we're just not sure why. Well, the reason being is that human being is full of about 70% of water, and we're full of about 70% of water. And water sends vibrational cues from one molecule to the next, which is why water can be separated by glass, like in a mason jar, and the clean water can still communicate to the dirty water outside of it, like say in a place like Flint, Michigan, how to clean itself. It's a thing water knows how to do. So this is one of the reasons why we can be around and have bad vibes and good vibes around certain people. The water molecules in our body vibrate very specifically with the water molecules in other people's bodies. And that's one of the reasons why sometimes we really, really jive and really groove with somebody, and other times we just don't. It has to do with how much of our own process and our own resonation that we're putting off and how much we're receiving. So when we think about the healing capacity of water and the object lesson of this massive Great Lake, and I cannot tell you how massive it is, to have these lighthouses all over the place tells you how big it is. That's a lot of water trying to teach us what's important. And our planet right now, during a time frame where there's almost 8 billion of us, and we're warring and fighting and being crazy and just getting nuts over stupid stuff, here comes all this water wanting us to be able to remember the building blocks of the universe and remember what was important to us. So now we've kind of, it looks like, turned inland on our trip a little bit. And we're heading, I don't know where we're going. Where are we going, Rebecca?
Going south. Lake Michigan is still off to our right. But we're heading south. We're slightly inland, but we're following the coastline heading south.
Okay. So you got that from the driver. And this is where we're going. So heading south. And what's fascinating is I can feel the water back off to my right, but now I'm just feeling the land. And even the land up here in Michigan is so saturated with water. My God, we were coming in. You should see the trees here. And the elemental life up here is just insane, my Lord. When we left a couple of days ago, we left Montana and we went down through Wyoming and came through South Dakota and came through Wisconsin and up we came. And I had this piece of sage that I had stuck in my hat because, I wear this cowboy hat all over the place. And the sage had gotten a little mealy because it dried out and, of course, it was starting to molt and do all the things sage does. So I took the sage piece and I took it out and I buried it, so to speak, at the foot of one of these massive trees, these massive conifer trees. And this huge pine tree was just huge and just sitting out there. And the ground here was so excited to meet flora and fauna from a different place and a different vibration. So not only does water have a healing capacity, not only does it have a memory, not only was this amazing, this amazing lake talking to us about what it's here to teach us and how it's happy to be here and the healing that it brings to us and how to put things into priority and to ground out and how to leave all of our ridiculous problems behind. Not only was that lake just going for it, yet it was also explaining to me, there's a reason why all of this water is dumping on your planet right now. It is cleansing. It is vibrationally cleansing. And so, it's fascinating because this opportunity that we have here and this podcast, even though, like I said, I'm just freaked out about the fact that we had this cool channeling over at Lake Superior and Lake Huron, and it just wasn't there. I think the energy might have been so big, the computer was saying, oh yeah, we're catching all this, and it just wasn't there. However, that tells me about how big this energy is that we're dealing with. And it's here for us all the time. So again, if all you can do, if you can't submerge yourself in a tub and try your feet, if you can't do your feet, then maybe get to a sink, plug up that sink, fill that sink up, and at least get your hands in there. Your hands have all the same acupuncture and pressure points as your feet do, nearly almost all the same. These acupressure points in your hands and in your feet are pretty awesome. So even if you can dunk your hands and maybe, put a chair by the sink so you can sit down and relax and just allow that water energy to come into the hands. And yes, by the way, water does maintain its healing, amazing properties, even within, even within its own purification process. So it's not like we kill the water molecules by removing the dirt from them. We may add little ammonia or we may add little chemicals or whatever. Yet the water molecules themselves are still going to stay educated, and they are going to have learned from the ancient molecules that they used to hang out with all the secrets of staying alive and healing also. So yes, the water that comes out of your tap also has healing properties and also has abilities to teach you lessons, okay? So let's not get too water snobby, although I will say that the water that's in nature and hasn't been messed with, it's all full of different stuff, although anymore, anything that's hitting the atmosphere and then coming back down as rain, that's picking up all of our toxins and our chemtrails and everything else that we're shooting up into the atmosphere. So that's still, pretty icky if you want to break down the contents of the water. So the big object lesson here today is that we do not give our bodies enough opportunity to ground out and to heal. And whether it's a creek, a bathtub, some running water, some sink water, we don't give ourselves the opportunity to actually get into a space of healing and to release or to ground out through that liquid electromagnetic semiconductor known as water. We just don't. And you wouldn't think, when you think about the Midwest, and you think about, I was saying earlier, places like Kansas and Nebraska that require the movement of air to move energy. When we think about all of that, and we think about our opportunities that we have here in inland, even though we have water sources, to still learn from these ancient teachers by immersing ourselves in them, and we still have that opportunity to get rid of all of our hang-ups and freakouts. You got to start asking yourself, why don't we do that? I mean, are we just a society that is so used to feeling like crap all the time that we just don't think that that's actually an option? Or do we think it's a novelty to feel good in a bathtub? Is that a novelty to us now? Is it a novelty to have some sense of relief? Did you know that America is, and I think it was America, Japan, and Germany fell off, but Germany was there for a while, were the most stressed out countries in the world. Like, the stress levels were the most high. And here, of course, in the United States, we have this false narrative that this is an everybody has the same opportunity country. And that's just not true. I mean, let's just call the crap out for a minute. That's not true. If I am a dark-skinned person in America and I am living and my skin is not of the Caucasian augmentation, and I am living in a state where people of an ethnic or ethnically diverse dermis are treated differently, I don't have the same opportunities. If I'm a woman in this country, which I am, I don't have the same opportunities that men do, period. And people like to hear that and they're like, that's crap, that's bull crap. You absolutely do. Well, technically I do. Legally I do. But in many parts of the country, there's no way in heck I'm going to get hired over, say, a guy if we both had the same qualifications. Because we're still laboring under some 1950s ideology that our Caucasian males of a certain age are the knowledge keepers. Now listen, I'm not saying that there's not Caucasian males of a certain age that are knowledge keepers. I mean, I'm sure they are. Yet to say that that's the only group that are the knowledge keepers kind of shoots apart all of the collective learning process that we're in our feminine time frame. So, when you ask ourselves, well, okay, Danielle, if water remembers everything and water has passed down its vibrational stories for millions of years, and even though it's a modern molecule that's happening, it's still absorbing these million-year-old stories. And if our bodies are made of 70% of water, then why am I just not soaking in the knowledge of the universe? Why don't I know everything like the water molecules? Well, guess what? You could, if you really slowed down long enough and soaked it in. Yeah, that's actually a thing. I mean, it's how I work. I don't have any superhero powers that you guys don't have. That doesn't even exist. I am just more aware of what my aptitudes are and how they work, and I am willing to give them space to work. I'm willing to take that 10 seconds of pure awe and just soak something in. I'm willing to listen to Lake Michigan when it says, hey, I remember you. You were little. You were a lot littler. And my goodness, you have a lot more toxins in your body than the last time I saw you. But hi. I mean, and here's poor Lake Michigan going, oh my God, your adult water body is full of a lot more tequila than I remember your 2-year-old body. That's terrifying. So, when you have that opportunity to actually sit there and realize that we could know everything, so to speak. We're not going to know everything, but we could know a lot more than we know. We could be a lot farther along than we are in our healing journeys. We could be doing great if we take the freaking time to actually just soak up what it is we're trying to soak up. out of the water and internalize it. But we don't. And then we blame society, we blame our parents, and we blame our jobs, and we blame our kids, and we blame our spouses, and we blame and we blame and we blame, because God knows it's not our fault we haven't slowed down long enough to get our crap in a group. I mean, honestly, why do we do this? You know, that lesson, that object lesson of that huge bridge that was going across Lake Michigan and Lake Huron. I'd love to go to Lake Superior. It's on my brain. That object lesson of all that water saying, I am here to help you. I am here to assist you. That object lesson was massive. And do you think we're ready to hear that? That's what I would ask is, do we think we're ready to hear that? I don't know. I mean, I'd like to say, sure we are. I'd like to say, oh yeah, we're completely ready to hear that. The angels told me we're all ready to hear that. Actually, the angels don't tell me that. The angels tell me, they said, those who shall hear shall hear. Those who do not hear are divine in their lesson. Think about that. Are divine in their lesson. What the hell does that even mean? You don't hear and you're divine in your lesson? What does that even mean? Well, it means that those folks who are going to get it are going to get it, and the folks who aren't getting it kind of aren't getting it on purpose, because we need some not getters along with the getters to make the whole plot arc. So when there are people that we see in our midst who may have really different modalities than we do, maybe they do things differently, maybe they believe differently than we do, keep in mind that the water in your body is communicating the truths to the water in their body. And the water in their body is vibrationally communicating truths to the water in your body. So you might have somebody who is, just as example, who may be completely politically opposed to your own viewpoints and vice versa. Yet the truths of the water in them are going to tell truths to the water in you, and vice versa. So you guys are going to share truths, even though the awkward outward prefrontal cortex opinions might be clashing. It's a thing, all right? So instead of trying to, figure out how do I convince this person to believe what I believe, well, first of all, that's not going to happen. So just stop. Just stop. Secondly, it's disrespectful to try to convince anyone of anything. We are welcome to share our opinions, yet trying to convince or trying to proselytize, as I always say, that's never a good idea, because flat out, it's not going to work. So if you know that the truth in your body is speaking to the truth in another person's body, and what that truth is compassion, kindness, dignity, support, working together, anti-tribalism, and love. Those are actually the vibrations that we carry in the water molecules in our body, because those water molecules came once from pure perfection. Billions of years ago, stardust hit our oceans, and out of our oceans came truth. Okay? So all of the water in your body remembers all of this. But we're so damn caught up in, oh my God, I don't think I can make my bills. And I'm not saying that there's not a reason to be caught up. I'm just simply saying we are caught up with what's right in our face. And then we're scrambling in this chaotic surface level freak out, trying to fix what we think is wrong, instead of setting into the truth in the water in our bodies. And because we've been taught generationally, especially in America, that truth needs to come from somewhere outside of us. We'd be well served to be able to actually sit in a tub of water and to soak all of that up. And one of the big messages, again, I'm really super sad and I'm trying to get over it, but I'm still just butthurt about it, that live channeling over Lake Michigan and Lake Huron is just lost in the ether somewhere. Yet one of the big pieces that came through in that was that it is our choice to disassociate from every resource on this planet that is given to us to be able to heal. It's our choice. This planet is waiting for us. Plants are waiting for us. Plants that cure cancer are waiting for us. Water, changing your water will actually change your health. Drinking enough water will actually change your health. And so
that's what the water was saying. It was saying, why? I want you to come play in me. I want you to dump all your stuff. I don't want you to be guarded and just, don't share, because I have so much to share for you. That's for you. It's universal truth that's for you. I mean, that's pretty huge. That's pretty huge. So the object lesson of the Great Lakes today has been water heals. Water has a memory. Our bodies are water. Water communicates vibrationally across even distances. Water recognizes itself. Our planet is being dumped in with water right now because water brings with it messages of healing. It brings messages of transcendence. It is the great equalizer. Human beings cannot control water. We can try to pollute it, but again, we aren't going to get very far with the polluting process, because eventually the water over time will take itself back. It will have, it might have to take hundreds and hundreds of years, but the water will take itself back. So it's a phenomenal resource. And the masculine feel of the Great Lakes, again, people think water's always feminine, and surely, I'm sure that's probably maybe even true. Yet there is a deva with this particular amazing water source up here, and that deva felt kind of masculine. So just allow yourself the opportunity to actually get involved in water. And remember that it's going to teach you about what you are, and it's going to teach you about, there it is again, only this time it's on my left. Is that still, no, that's a different lake? Is this? It's an inlet. Okay, that's a different one. So I'm like, where did that come from? My God, there's water all over the place out here. My wife's like, no, that's just an inlet. It's fine. The most stunning thing we can do for ourselves, gang, is make sure we're learning. Allow yourself to learn all the time. Because as you allow yourself to learn, and we put ourselves in a place of humility for this learning, to learn out of these incredible resonations within the water, to recognize that we only recognize the creation of love in other people. That's what the water recognizes. And our mind has to go into a place of, you're not supposed to like them because they like a different football team than you, or they vote differently than you do, or the mind creates that. The vibration of the cell structure of the body says nothing except for, hey, we need to all be together on this, which again, I think is absolutely amazing. And as a total sidebar, I am looking at a big old billboard that said free chocolate tours. So apparently not only am I in the land here in the Upper Peninsula area of Michigan of amazing water that's speaking to me and teaching me about its molecular structure and how it can heal, and we can heal in it if we just allow our body to if we just frickin' slow down for 5 seconds and don't have to be the author of everything in our universe and be the smartest person we know for 5 minutes. This water has so much to teach us, but I'm in a land that has amazing dairy and chocolate tours and candy and just all these things that I know aren't particularly good for my body, yet by God is the craftsmanship for this stuff good here. Oh, it's a little crazy. It's like super, super good. Super good. So I have really enjoyed this podcast, except for the part that I got super excited about, which was the live channeling aspect, which completely disappeared off the hard drive. However, we did get those messages to you, and this is a really kind of a trippy experience, actually, to be riding down, the highway with a broadcast microphone and these headphones on and a computer running, and it's kind of a trip. Yet I am happy to bring you messages from the road, because in a way, it's kind of a little bit of a preview to my Road Angel TV show. Sort of, kind of. The TV show is different. However, being able to land in these different places and translate these energies for you, which is incredible, being here and translating them for you, it is a whole different perspective, because I'm reading this energy live as we are in a place that, shoot, I've never been to upstate Michigan. It's really cool, and it's gorgeous. And it makes me want to run around on the beaches. So this week, your homework is to get out into some water. If you can, submerge your body. If it's in a bathtub, great. If it's just your hands, do it. If it's your feet, that's even better than your hands, because like I said, you kind of want to do as much as you can there. And I want to remind everybody that in these coming months ahead, and we've got some big retrograde planets here that are actually going direct. We've got Saturn going direct, thank God, in September. And I had this backwards for a while, but Neptune is going, was it Neptune? Going direct in, good heavens, I believe that's August. So and then Mercury is retrograde until the 31st of our beloved July. So which is probably why I lost a big chunk of my recording here. However, use this time frame to really allow the water in your body to understand that it knows everything, and it is here to teach you the language and the message of the universe. And if you will simply listen to the water in the body, then you are actually going to be having one heck of an epiphany summer listening to all this come in. And I'm actually going to kind of insert this podcast ahead. It was supposed to go later, but I'm sticking it right at the top of the food chain. I'm sticking it right in terms of broadcast order, because I think the messages that the water is trying to teach us here are extremely important. These are extremely important messages. So I want to thank everybody for actually riding along in the pickup truck with my wife Rebecca and my daughter Nora, who's sitting in the back seat doing something. Nora, what are you doing? She can't even hear me. She's watching something. She's got her earphones on. Nora! Nope, she's still ignoring me. Yep, she can't even hear me. God, she's really into something. No idea. I was going to have her say hi, but, say hi, Rebecca.
Hello.
I'm just going to stick the mic in her face and see what happens. Hold on just a second here. Let's see. Hey, Nora, want to say something? Like hi?
Hi.
There we go. Okay. She just was like, hi, what are you doing? That's a very large black microphone. Okay. Anyway, guys, thanks for hanging in there on this part of our little road trip. And these messages from the road have been completely awesome. And like I said, I'm going to bump some other podcasts and bump them down the chain just to get this one in there. But it's important that I get these messages to you guys as they come through. So I hope everybody is having a really magnificent day, and go and really enjoy this section of your week to the point of being so exciting that it's ridiculous. And make sure that you're getting some water. Make sure that you're allowing that water in your body to be uplifted, and just be chill. Okay, so just when I thought this was over, I had a better idea. We pulled over in a place called Petoskey, and it has to do, I don't know what it has to do with, but this town is flipping cool. We stopped to get coffees. So I am standing here, and I've got people and my sister-in-law, Sarah, because you've seen her crawl through caves with me. You've seen her go through the backwoods with petroglyphs and all kinds of caves. And so I've got her, and then I've got her wife, Melissa, who is also my sister-in-law, who you will know. You've heard her on the podcast before, talking about herbs, and you've also seen her with me on Road Angel. So I'm going to start with Sarah, though, because Sarah's actually from this area. So I'm literally we're standing on the street live, and I've heard you talk about Petoskey stones. What the heck are those, Sarah?
Petoskey stones are exactly what it said. They are rocks that you can only find in Lake Michigan, along the shores of Michigan. You won't find them in Wisconsin. I'm not exactly sure why. I think it has to do with the way the currents move. They are the fossilized remains of coral when this area used to be a sea.
What? It actually used to be a sea.
Yes, before the glaciers created these the glaciers 10,000 years ago created these Great Lakes up here, all the North America Great Lakes. And before that, it was an ancient seabed. And so the Petoskey's are fossilized coral. And now you find them just intermixed with all the rocks of Lake Michigan.
That is completely awesome. So you can go fossil picking up here, which makes me very excited. Now, I was going to ask you if you guys were texting me something about the sand and the contents of the sand. So what is the sand made up of up here?
The sand is mostly quartz up here. They call it sugar sand. I'm not sure exactly. It's not white like sugar, but it's very fine like sugar. The glaciers, again, picked up all that quartz, the quartz rocks as they drug their massive selves through this part of the world and slowly over time ground that quartz into all this fine sand, which is along the banks now of Lake Michigan.
And also, there are these massive sand dunes up here, which freaked me out because I think sand dunes and I think of the ocean. So I'm like, well, okay, now we're in an inland lake, but we've got massive, huge sand dunes. And isn't there like some giant dune someplace that has a Native American story that goes with it?
Yes, that would be Sleeping Bear Dunes.
And where is that?
Just north of Frankfort, Michigan. It's Sleeping Bear Dunes National Park. It's along the shores of Lake Michigan, along Route 22, which is kind of a famous local scenic highway. You'll see a lot of Route 22 stickers on people's cars out here.
So why do they call it Sleeping Bear Dune?
It's an old Native American legend that about a mama bear from Wisconsin and her two cubs were, I believe, fleeing a fire in Wisconsin, and they decided to swim across Lake Michigan. And when the mama bear got to the shores of Michigan, she looked behind her and didn't see her cubs. So she lay down on the shores of Michigan to take a nap and sleep and wait for her cubs. And so that would be the big giant Sleeping Bear Dune would be the mama bear, and there are two islands out in the lake that you can see from Sleeping Bear Dunes Park, which, according to legend, are the two cubs that never made it to shore.
So the islands are the drowned cubs out there?
The spirit of the cubs.
Okay, that's better. Okay. Yeah, that gets a little sad when we're talking about cub drowning. That's pretty awful. But this makes a lot of sense because we've got all of this quartz sand. When we were up on the North Shore, I was doing this live podcast telling everybody, oh my God, you should see what I'm looking at. This is how it feels. This is how amazing it is. It was really awesome. And Melissa, you are riding along here, and you're from Connecticut. So you're from the eastern seaboard, the Atlantic seaboard. And what did you expect this area, this giant landlocked lake? Honestly, be honest, what did you think it was going to feel like?
Well, I actually had no idea, but being sort of a beach snob, I didn't expect it to be at all like the ocean. But it's a lot like the ocean, and there's waves, which was so weird, and sand, and little tiny shells in there. It feels so much like the ocean, except for that I haven't noticed yet that it smells like dead fish, like my ocean does. But
yeah, Sarah says, wait for it. So are you noticing this huge, very peaceful electromagnetic siphoning that is happening with this massive lake system? Because I am noticing there is such a peace up here. Like, it reminds me of being at Huntington Beach, California, but it's not as frenetic as California, although Huntington is super chill. It's the surf capital of the world. Yet, I mean, just how chill this is. What is your feeling of the area? Because, like, I can be kind of a beach snob, too, and I was just floored. I can't wait to get in that water. I love it. It's beautiful. So how does it feel? Does it feel erratic? Does it feel peaceful? What's it feel like?
It feels super peaceful, and it's interesting because the five of us now are heading into a larger family reunion, which for me creates a little bit of anxiety, and I expected to feel uncomfortable, and I feel so chill. And I think it's because of the quartz and the water, and it's just a super chill place.
Yeah, it is a super chill place. And so I'm going to ask actually my daughter back here to come out here. She's looking at something. She's got something she's doing, but I've got this amazing kid. She's 14 years old. This is Nora Johnson. I'm officially introducing you guys to my kid. She's unbelievably cool, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a bonus mom. If you met her, you would think she was cool too. But Nora, how does this place? You are from also Vashon Island, right?
Yeah, I am.
And where's Vashon Island?
It's out right by Seattle in Washington.
Okay, so you pretty much tell me about growing up. What is some of the stuff you've done in the ocean?
I've done camps and we go swimming in there sometimes. During the summer we do a lot of sailing and boating and stuff.
Right, and you've done the polar bear plunge. So is that what it's called?
Yeah. So pretty much at my camp we do this thing called polar bear plunge, and you pretty much every morning you get up and each day you progressively get in the morning more and more. So the first day you go into about your ankles, and then on the very last day you completely dunk in the beginning and like the very bright morning.
And so Nora has been telling me, because I'm an eeker, I eke into cold water. And Nora says to me, no, you just got to dive in. I'm like, girl, I dive in, my heart's going to stop. Okay, I got to eke on in. So tell me how this area feels to you as somebody who comes from the ocean. What do you think this feels and looks like?
Well, it's hard to explain almost, because it feels softer almost in a way than being in Seattle, because first of all there's no salt in the water here, so that makes it feel more almost, I want to say, sweet in a way, because Seattle is more like, I love the water out there, but it's more like clingy almost, and this feels like it just rolls right off of you.
That is such a great description of it. So what are you most looking forward to with us getting up to Frankfurt and with the way this feels? What are you, be honest, what are you most looking forward to?
The neighborhoods and the beach. I'm really looking forward to the beach.
Little cousin time?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that too.
That is awesome. Well, so we've got this big family trip. We're here in Petoskey, Michigan. I wanted to make sure I pronounced that correctly. We now know that we've got a high concentration of quartz sand here. We have descriptions. I agree with you, Nora. My kid is so astute. It's soft. It's soft here. I agree with you too, Melissa. I can be a beach snob, but I'm into it. I just want to get there and get in the water. And I was talking about the fact that the water has some incredible properties that want to heal everybody. So we're going to say we'll see you next week. Ready on 3. 1, 2, 3.
We'll see you next week.